Just gonna retweet the the tweet when it goes up. Come on, do it. Refresh. There we go.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. Let me know when you're ready, and I'll transition us into the new to the on air.
Yep. Okay.
I like how I said that, but then I myself wasn't ready. Put cat cam on.
Oh yeah.
Let's kick things off.
You are now listening to Doublejump Radio.
G'day everyone and welcome to episode 67 of Doublejump Radio. I'm your host Abia and I'm joined once again by my co-host John. John, how are you, my friend?
Not bad. Getting my ass kicked by hay fever last couple of weeks. This week hasn't been much better, but yeah. Otherwise, pretty chilled out, I guess. Yeah. How about you?
Yeah, no hay fever yet. Touch wood. I mean, today is officially the first day of spring as we are recording it, so we'll see what happens. But no, just some good things happening in the personal life. So really, I'm at a good place right now, which I think even a few months ago I wasn't. So I'm very, very grateful for the people around me, the support that I have. Both at home and at work that kind of got me through the past few months and onto better things. So yeah, I'm really excited for what's to come. I got because of what happened, because of the good news at work. It means that I've got the okay from the missus. We've reached a deal where I can order a new camera, like a digital camera, which I haven't done. My digital camera's from like 11 years ago, so it's which is an eternity in camera technology. So I'm excited to, I guess, be taking photos again. So
Yeah.
especially with like in-person events coming back. So who knows? Maybe we can actually have like a crew of double jumpers walking around show floors and stuff. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that all sounds great.
Yeah, it's something we've always wanted to do, but just logistically never worked out. But it's like, you know what? Let's just do it. But no, I'm super excited to talk about some of the news this week. So why don't we move on and talk about some of the articles that went up over the past week first. John, the first article that went up over the past week was Ethan's Xenoblade Chronicles 3 review. It's I think it seems like it's a great follow up.
Yeah, it's like Ethan echoed a lot of what I've heard and seen from reviews since it released. It's like very much, I think, which is like still kind of a surprise to me. Not in that the first two games are like bad or have any bad. I mean, the second game has some lingering issues just in a few places, but it's like, I don't know, the fact that it came out with such like tremendous reviews, like like critical consensus is like surprising to me. So yeah, just to kind of go over Ethan's review a little bit, he kind of mentions discusses how it kind of combines aspects of the first and the second games, sometimes literally. The combat system is very dense, but it's ultimately very rewarding if you put the time into it. The characters are like the cast is very strong. I think he says it's like better than the last two games, the previous two games. It's quite big, but it's also like very even in how it's kind of, you know, gives time to each character.
Yeah.
As well as helping carry the story sometimes when it starts to get when it starts to falter.
Which unfortunately does happen. You know,
yeah,
especially with longer games.
Yeah, I think I've seen a few numbers thrown around, but Ethan in his review mentioned around 80 hours, I think, which I'm guessing is around the length of his playthrough. I think I've seen 100 before. It's a very long game with a lot in it.
I can't do that anymore. Maybe I'm too old.
Yeah, Beer's too old, Monolith. Stop
How
making
dare
a long
you?
game. Ethan also mentions that it's got some technical issues, which is not unheard of for these Xenoblade games, especially in handheld mode. Because there's like a lot of little problems. But handheld mode is actually massively upgraded in the third one, so that's good to hear, because that really was like one of the main things I heard about the second game without having played it, is just like how poor this handheld mode is, and how much I would definitely be playing in handheld mode primarily, or it's like, oh, it's too much. Like I should play it because I have it, because my sister has a copy. But I don't try it because every time I think about it, it's like, oh, the handheld mode's meant to be awful, and I don't really want to try it.
Well, that's the thing. We'll maybe we'll talk about it a little bit later when you talk about your new Switch. But yeah, I'll be definitely interested in knowing if anything's better with the newer generations, with the revised processes, I guess, internally they've got.
Yeah, sure. Just to kind of cap off, Ethan gave Xenoblade Chronicles 3 a 9 out of 10, which is a new score system for Doublejump. Using the normal, like the, I guess, common 10-point scale nowadays, instead of the 5-point as has been mentioned previously.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that was our first review on that scale.
Yeah. Yep. So hopefully everyone likes the new type of review system. You know, we're big ones for feedback, but this, I think, was something that I guess would provide a little bit more nuance for the readers at home. So that's the aim anyway. Well, the next story that went up on the site was Jake's really well put together recap of Gamescom 2022's opening night live stream. We talked about it, and some of our picks throughout the first part of last week's show. But this is like a handy, I guess, recap of the entire event, all the major announcements, plus some smaller news at the bottom as well. So, and all the trailers are there, nice and handy to view. So please do check it out, share it around. Let us know if you wanna see more of events, more coverage like that in the future. We always excited to do things like that, because I don't know, we don't do as much news as before, but it's still there's still a charm to it, I think, for us on the back end.
Yeah, so it's like, if you want to know about any other games we didn't talk about last week, because we definitely did not go over all of them. I'm kind of curious to know how many games were mentioned or like shown in the opening night live, like, because there have to be
quite
like
a few,
dozens.
definitely dozens.
50.
Yeah,
but anyway.
Yeah, definitely dozens. I was trying to count, but I'm like, yeah, that's not going to make for compelling radio or video. So let's
not.
That's going to do it for the articles that went up over the past week. Let's head on over and talk about the news from this past week. I guess the major story from the past week, besides another one that you will talk about shortly, is that Herman Holst, the head of PlayStation, like the worldwide... Okay, let me get his title right. Herman Holst, the head of PlayStation Studios, took to the PlayStation blog to announce that PlayStation Studios has acquired a new developer called Savage Game Studios, and that this acquisition is part of a quote, a newly created PlayStation Studios mobile division, end quote. So essentially, the developer Savage Game Studios, while it hasn't made any projects of its own just yet, it is made up of alumni from Insomniac Games, who are known for Marvel Spider-Man series and Ratchet and Clank, and also Resistance: Fall of Man. Shout out. Zynga, which people might remember as the creators of Farmville, and also the company where that guy who remember, I forget his name now, but you know the guy who was the head of Xbox during the whole Xbox One always online fiasco. I forget his name now.
Yeah.
He's gone. He went over there. And
Is he
then
still there?
I don't think he is
left by
now.
now.
Yeah, I'm sure. And
Okay.
and also from a studio called Rovio, which is most famous for its Angry Birds series. So there's a bit of pedigree there, especially on both the AAA kind of console development side as well as the mobile and online development side. So that it should be it's some good expertise coming into the PlayStation family. Now, the important thing to note, and this is something that Sony wanted to make clear, because just as when Sony announced that it was going to create PC ports of its most popular PlayStation games, Herman Holst wanted to make sure that fans knew that the company was quote still that the company was still going to be making quote amazing single player narrative driven experiences, and not just putting all its eggs into the the mobile gaming basket. Now, in terms of what Savage Game Studios is going to be working on out of the gate, apparently the studio is quote already working on a new unannounced AAA mobile live service action game, end quote, which like maybe MAG is coming back. Maybe now's the time for MAG.
Yeah.
2022.
I was actually thinking, because like people have like I saw a bunch of people like thinking Mag's like good, like related to Mag sort of. I was thinking about how like a lot of people were kind of thinking about like all the potential franchises. And I
Yeah.
was thinking like I probably won't be any of them, because they'll just make something new that makes a lot of sense for the market. I don't know, maybe not. But I was thinking, it's like I bet like Killzone would do an okay job of like being a mobile centric sort of thing.
And yeah, because like I was thinking about how PUBG Mobile, Call of Duty Mobile, even Apex Legends Mobile have been doing gangbusters. So I was thinking, what if this is how we get like a new SOCOM game, a free to play mobile SOCOM game? I think could really work in the modern climate, especially with the PlayStation branding. And imagine earning trophies in that game, and kind of linking into the wider PlayStation, kind of like PlayStation Plus kind of family of products there. I mean, I don't know. That could be something that could work, I think.
Yeah, maybe. It's like I was kind of surprised, like seeing, reassuring fans that the single player, like the main console side business, won't really change. And it's like, I'm surprised
that there was that fear.
People jumped to like panic, in that sense, where it's like every other game studio is doing this, aren't they? Like they're kind of,
yeah. It's like well, I think it's because I think it's because when the PlayStation announcement happened about the PC ports, there was a lot of kind of, I don't know why, but there was like a lot of kind of unfounded like backlash saying that, Sony's abandoning its loyal fans and things like that. It's like, Sony's a big enough company where it can do multiple things at once, especially because didn't Sony acquire was it Nixus? I think was it
Yeah,
or was it
right.
Aspire? Yep. No, Embracer got Aspire.
Mm-hmm.
Nixus, which is like a well-known port house that kind of specializes a lot on doing PC ports of other games. Like so, it's not like Sony's taking resources away from like Naughty Dog or something. It's actually adding. It's like actually getting people to help with that. So it sounds like a similar thing here.
Yeah, like they're just adding more like nodes to the overall network in a way that doesn't really. It only really extends their reach.
Yeah,
There's no way it would
100%.
really harm it, you know.
Yeah,
So it's
I mean, like, I I would hope that maybe Nintendo might take a page out of this book and start, embracing modern technology, and maybe acquiring companies that know what they're doing.
okay. I thought you were about to say making mobile games because they have been doing
No,
it. But it's
yeah,
like oh, I did notice. I was thinking when I heard this news, like I don't think it's like a new thought. I think, and I also think it's something that's very common in the tech industry, but I don't think I've thought of much with games. Is the idea of that big, big publishers, big companies like Sony are like more willing to buy studios that exist and not much more, because I was thinking it's like maybe it's just all the work of actually putting together a team that you're confident can make something within a reasonable time frame is
oh
like
yeah,
all the work. I was
yeah,
thinking, is that like enough of something where it's like if you got enough credits to your name
yeah,
and you've built a team that would like operate fine, without really having much worry, it's just going to fall apart in a year for, whether it's egos or finance or whatever. It's like it must be like in this current phase of the game industry where things are just, all these big companies are just going on a spree of buying whatever they can to
yeah.
kind of shore up their wealth ahead of some sort of gigantic war that's everyone seems to be preparing for. That it's
The
I don't
console
know. That was
wars
just
are
a
gonna
thought that
happen.
crossed my head. That's just a thought that crossed my head where it's just like, oh, that's like they don't even have to, prove themselves all that much now beyond like they have a proven track record individually, I guess, but it's I don't know, I found that kind of interesting.
Yeah, no, that's no, that's a fair point there. But I guess we'll find out soon enough. Like maybe Sony will kind of ease itself back into the mobile space, because let's not forget, like PlayStation Mobile is not exactly a new name. Like there actually was an official Sony Xperia PlayStation phone like 10 years ago, and there was also, and it literally, let me find it. I'm gonna put up a picture, but you basically slid up the phone screen. Okay, yes, I found it. It was called the Xperia Play, and I've got it on screen here for folks at home. But essentially, from the top, it looked like a standard Sony Ericsson mobile from like 2011, 2012. But when you flick up the screen, it reveals a D-pad, two touchpads, and the PlayStation kind of icons. So it actually was like a kind of like a hybrid between a Sony phone and like a PlayStation. I guess at that time would have been the portable, because I think this was maybe pre-Vita. So yeah, so it's not like Sony hasn't done it before. So who knows? Maybe this
a lot like the PSP Go.
Yeah, that was also the PSP Go was like the discless version of the PlayStation Portable.
Yeah, because that slid up as well. I mean,
yes,
but
yes, yeah, that was kind of like the very compact, kind of mini version of the PSP. But yeah, who knows? Maybe this will be the spiritual successor to the PS Vita. We've all been yearning
that's what I was
for.
about to say. I forgot. It's like there's also like a bunch of like Canon games on the like Nokia style phone games, bro. Like God of War has like an actual Canon game. That's I think it's like Spyro and like Ratchet and Clank does. Like there's a bunch of PlayStation ones.
Yeah, no, PlayStation put money behind that.
Those.
Yeah. Well, let's keep an eye on that, and maybe we'll get a PlayStation phone again. We can only hope. Yeah.
I hope so.
Speaking of hope and things maybe happening in the future, one thing that didn't happen was Amazon putting in a bid to buy EA. What the hell happened over this past week?
Yeah, this story started and ended before I noticed it happen. I think it was while I was asleep. Yeah, so the original story was a report that Amazon were set to announce an acquisition of EA, like the entire company. This is also following a report from May from the site Puck, originally being reported by Video Game Chronicle, Chronicles, never mind, tangent. That EA had, quote, been persistent in pursuing a sale and had held talks with Disney, Apple, and Amazon, and Comcast, NBC, Universal. I don't know how they factor into EA specifically that last one. I didn't read that entire line, even though I copy pasted it. But yeah, so last week there was a report that Amazon were about to announce this purchase. A few hours later, I think it was very soon after.
Yeah.
It was confirmed by CNBC that, quote, there's nothing going on, according to their own sources. So basically, this acquisition wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
Even though it didn't happen, EA's stock actually surged on Friday after this had been reported. So it went up 3.5% in stock price.
Yeah.
Just based on the
speculation. Yeah.
Which is not uncommon, I guess. That's just kind of how the stock market works.
Yeah.
But it's and that's the entire story.
It happened very quickly. Because I remember seeing that, like, I think I found the lead, like, I saw it pop up not long after we recorded, as is usual, not long after we recorded last week's episode. But it was kind of shaky from the beginning because it was published on USA Today's For the Win gaming column, but it was like one of those Forbes-style partnered posts, which was originally it was from I think it's a Swedish gaming kind of publication called GLHF. Good luck, have fun. So it was like the USA Today publishing a piece from like a partner publication, and then apparently they didn't vet any of the sources. and then CNBC came in and just like, what the hell are you talking about? That's hilarious.
Yeah, because I saw you like posted on Discord, and then like it was like hours ago, and then I went to check. It's like, wait, EA got purchased, and then no, it's already
been debunked. Yeah. But one thing that hasn't been debunked is Sony and Tencent putting a little bit more money into From Software. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, not anyway, yeah, you're right. Sony and Tencent have basically purchased a little more each of From Software, the developer behind Elden Ring and the Soul series, etc. Sony now owns 14.09% on From Software. Tencent, which is from its Six Joy subsidiary. I feel like we're going to get a lot of talk of subsidiaries in the next few years.
Yeah, 100%.
I think about it. Anyway, Tencent now owns 16.25% of From Software, but the original existing majority shareholder, Katakawa, they still own the majority at 69.66%. Otherwise, this doesn't really seem to be much of a change. From the announcement of the deal, Katakawa said, From Software, quote, will aim to proactively invest in development of more powerful game IP for itself to strengthen From Software's development capabilities, blah, blah, blah. It's basically saying they kind of invest more in game development and kind of expand, intelligent way, I suppose, effective way. And otherwise, not too much to that. Just From Software is growing, and Tencent and Sony are part of that growth.
Yeah. So expect, who knows, maybe the next Armored Core is going to be like ray tracing and 120 frames per second and like ridiculous 3D rendering technologies or something because of all this extra resourcing. Who knows?
Based on those like really blurry leaked images of the new Armored Core from a few months back, I think ray tracing would look awesome. I would actually very much like to see that.
That would be kind of cool. But it's just going to be a Souls game, but everyone's robots in mechs.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I'm kind of curious. Imagine if we won't get into it.
And then there's going to be a metaverse where it's going to be all the From Software games together, like, but they're all going to be like you're playing a mech in the Bloodborne world, like that version of like London or whatever, but with weapons from the Souls games, and with everything with the same like kind of Japanese samurai seriousness of Sekiro. Like it's just going to be.
It's like weird... Avengers, except it gets rid of everything everyone liked in the first place.
Oh yeah, so like Marvel.
after
Anyway.
that was the announcement that NetEase, the Chinese game corporation, or just corporation in general, has acquired Quantic Dream, the French developer behind Detroit Become Human, Heavy Rain, and so on. Yeah, so they haven't disclosed the fee over this acquisition. Don't know how much they were purchased for. NetEase originally acquired a minority stake in Quantic Dream in 2019. So this is sort of a development of that. And this is also NetEase's first studio in Europe as part of their kind of Tencent-like, Embracer-like spread across the globe to expand their reach and operations. So as part of the announcement, Quantic Dream will, quote, continue to operate independently, focusing on creating and publishing its video games on all platforms, as well as supporting and publishing third-party developed titles, which is kind of a follow-up to news from last week's Gamescom that Quantic Dream will actually be publishing their first game.
Yes.
That is not developed by them. So, yeah, as well as supporting and publishing third-party developed titles, while at the same time leveraging NetEase's significant game development capabilities.
Yeah, I think that was Beneath the Waves, I think it was, right? Beneath the Waves.
Under the Waves.
Under the Waves, sorry. Beneath the Waves, that's my spin-off. I'm announcing I'm working on that myself.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's all it is just I just put David Cage's head on the main character in the game. That's all it is.
Okay, sounds worth it. So as part of this announcement as well, in response to the in response to the toxic workplace allegations that hit Quantic Dream a few years ago. So for those who don't remember or need a recap, this included a culture of racist and sexist jokes. This was outlined in 3 exposés in France across 3 French media outlets.
Yeah.
And Quantic Dream actually sued these media outlets for libel in response to all this. And it was just a bad scene.
A bit of a shit show.
Yeah. So in response to whether these allegations had much of a part in this acquisition, the co-CEO, damn it, another non.
Do you want Guillaume de Fondemier?
Yeah, that sounded correct. Yeah, thank you. Fondemier, he said, everyone familiar with Quantic Dream, its management, and our team perfectly knows what to think of these allegations. As a shareholder who had already audited our studio in late 2018, who had assessed all material elements and had followed all litigation outcomes, NetEase had a very clear view and could easily assess the absence of any material basis of these claims. They had thereby no impact on our discussions, which, I think is all just a roundabout way to say NetEase don't really care, and they're not particularly invested in this aspect of the studio.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Because there was a report a few months ago, which could have been totally wrong. I'm not saying it's absolutely true.
Yeah.
There was a report a few months ago saying that, I think from Tom Henderson, saying that the reason the Star Wars Eclipse announcement happened in the first place was to draw more developers to the studio, because they've had a major lack of new employees actually coming into the company since those allegations. So I'm not sure if that's true at all, but it kind of lines up with other studios experiencing similar things.
Yeah.
And
I think Ubisoft also copped a bit of that kind of workforce brain drain happening as well.
Also French.
There's something in the water.
Developers just having a hard time.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, you could say that a major company that has, being a large company in China, potentially, a company from a country that is known for skirting human rights rules, not giving a shit about another company who's got human rights or toxic workplace allegations, seems consistent that they might not give a shit as long as the money's there. Unfortunately,
that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, but I'm just so how is David Cage still there? How is anyone still wanting to work there if it from what the allegations sounded like, you know what I mean?
Well,
crazy.
There was these quotes from David Cage, because I think he had a interview last week, which I need to go over again. But part of the quotes I saw from him was saying that like, why would anyone keep working at Quantic Dream if they didn't, enjoy work? Like, he was basically refuting a lot of the allegations
Yeah.
again, even though I think a lot of them targeted him as well as the rest of the studio. Like, it wasn't like he was, yeah, it's one of those things. But it's oh, I forgot my train of thought. But it's just like,
Yeah. But I think it's also like, who knows? Maybe the accusations coming back up maybe affected kind of the price of the deal, and so it just kind of worked in NetEase's favor. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
yeah.
And yeah. I guess the next batch of stories are going to be a little bit shorter, but we'll go back and forth covering some of the kind of the smaller stories that went up over the last week. So speaking of Ubisoft and some unfortunate news, we actually got a little bit of a reprieve from Ubisoft threatening to, I guess, not threatening to, but like Ubisoft actually announcing that it's going to decommission or, I guess, deprecate the online features of some of its older titles. Essentially, what that meant was if you had an older, like Ubisoft game that required, multiplayer servers or multiplayer infrastructure to function, they wouldn't work anymore. Also, you would lose access to some single-player DLC for games like Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, Assassin's Creed 3, the original release, Far Cry 3, and Splinter Cell Blacklist. So, like, it's never a good thing, but essentially Ubisoft updated the kind of the article to say that, hey, we've actually delayed deprecating or decommissioning these older services until October 1st. They were actually due to happen as we're recording this, which is September 1st. So you've got an extra 30 days to, I guess, claim and add all the items to your account before you can't get them anymore.
Or play them.
Yeah. The other thing is, let's see. But if you own the games that I mentioned before on PC and you activate the DLC before October 1st, you can continue playing it. It's just that you won't be able to get them in the future. But there will be no impact on the same DLC on consoles. So that's, I guess, good. That's something positive. But the only exception is a game called Space Junkies. So that which is on PC, including for VR headsets like the Oculus and HTC Vive. Is it Oculus or is it just called Meta? Anyway, I'm going to say Oculus because Meta is dumb. It's a dumb name. So though the services for that game has already been decommissioned as of this recording, and a small team at Ubisoft Mains is actively working on migrating Anno 2070's server infrastructure from the legacy systems to a new online system, which should mean that game can remain playable going forward. At least.
Yeah, I think specifically what they're doing is like they're making it offline friendly, for all the features that require online stuff. Yeah.
It's almost as if they didn't learn any lessons from SimCity or Diablo 3 like a decade ago. Maybe. I don't know. I'm just speculating out here.
Yeah. It's I think I said it last time. Maybe I just said it to myself because I'm not sure we went over it when it was announced. But it's
I think we did briefly.
Okay, we did. Yeah. But it's like it's kind of wild to me that Ubisoft would bother trying to like make back, pennies on this kind of. I mean, I'm sure it costs some money to kind of keep a lot of this stuff going, but I know Ubisoft's in a phase where they really need to regrow both their reputation and their kind of output, like really revitalize it. But it's and this seemed like such a bad way to start that journey because it's gonna. I know. Part of it is getting players on side, and getting their trust back as a publisher. And kind of, I'm not sure if trust back. I don't know. I think they've just lost a lot of people's faith in them making good games. So the idea of them actively getting kind of, losing access to their old games that you probably might have liked to play again is just like it's not gonna help any of that. But
Definitely.
it's also, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's a smaller part of their overall plan or what they really care about in the end. So I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Who knows? Like maybe, yeah, who knows? Maybe Ubisoft's gonna pull an Embracer and say, oh, we're actually dedicated to preserving things. We're gonna launch a separate like kind of online museum of all our classic stuff. But I seriously doubt that, given how given the wording of the announcement and everything like that. But the next piece of news is that there was not leak, but I guess an early release, accidental early release of FIFA 23 on Xbox. John, tell us about that.
Yeah. FIFA 23 there was, quote, intentionally, oh yeah, EA confirmed that it, quote, unintentionally gave a small number of players access to a 2-hour trial of the Xbox One version of FIFA 23, and that, quote, not all content was final. Either way, people got, like, certain players got, like, full access to the game for some period of time. This included full access to the next incarnation of Ultimate Team, and it's, I actually don't know what this involves exactly, because I remember reading this news story and not having a full idea of exactly what leaked, other than people having a first taste of the next one.
Yeah, because it's that, how EA, the EA Play subscription or EA Play Ultimate, I think you can get like kind of like early access to like the new releases, and you can play for like a certain amount of hours. So apparently this happened too early, and that's how some of these players were able to get access to the game and kind of go through and even stream in some cases the game on Xbox One, which, to be fair, is running the older game engine. So a lot of the gameplay improvements and things like that you wouldn't be able to tell, because that's all on the current gen versions, not the previous gen one.
According to Eurogamer's reporting, they kind of mentioned that the biggest part of this is that it lets players see kind of early Ultimate Team stats, and like how powerful their, quote, baseline cards will be in this year's game. So I'm not actually sure. I'm still not sure exactly what that means without playing it. It also kind of has impacted part of their marketing cycle, because it's a lot of this stuff is very intricate in how things are revealed over time. So the fact that that's been impacted is a bigger hit to not really players so much. Imagine it's just EA who really cares about that in particular. But
yeah. But from the Ultimate Team kind of thing, I think what it means is that players can get a head start before the market, kind of the market goes live, and maybe get I guess because Ultimate Team is tied to real world money investment, that maybe that's kind of the danger there, is that it's given people like extra intel that they can use to take advantage, at the launch of the game.
Okay. Yeah. Is Ultimate Team something like, it doesn't continue on from the last one, right? Like you have to like restart.
Yep.
Each time?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. So I was kind of surprised. I know, I was kind of thinking, it's like, I wonder what people really care about. Knowing that it's like the leak's still a big deal. I was just trying to think of, I don't know.
We're not the target market for the news, for this piece of news, I think.
Yeah, no, but I still want to know. But I don't want. Apparently, I want to know by just talking at you and asking questions.
Yes, me, the FIFA man.
Yeah.
So the next piece of news is also some speculation, but this time from the world of Nintendo. So this is via Video Games Chronicle. According to Giant Bomb's Jeff Grubb and GamesBeat's Mike Minotti, who co-hosted the Jeff Grubb's Game Mess podcast this week, they said that Nintendo is due to hold a dedicated Nintendo Direct stream for the unannounced but kind of rumored Switch ports of The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker and The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, which were the GameCube and Wii releases of the Zelda games, respectively. This is a quote. Basically, from what what Grub, from what his source said, is that from I guess the thing to the speculation is that if it's going to be focused on Zelda, it's not going to be a partner direct because those are dedicated usually to third-party developers and their titles. He would be the Jeff Grubb basically made it clear that, listen, even if we didn't get this news that this stream was going to happen, like for sure, from quote a pretty good source that the stream's going to happen not the coming week, but the following week, so the week beginning September 12th, is that this would be around the time that we'd see kind of some news in the lead up to Breath of the Wild 2, the next Legend of Zelda release, and this would be like a good way to hype up kind of the fan base in preparation for those. Quote, and yet we have heard that, and we've heard other things, again, that the Metroid Prime remaster, that sounds like it's going to be announced at something like this, end quote. So there could be a potential, like, maybe it's like a GameCube remaster, like, focused direct, where it's just, like, pretty rapid fire saying, you know, Twilight Princess and Wind Waker HD coming out, and then we're also doing the Metroid Prime kind of remaster is coming out as well. You know, maybe because like Metroid Prime 4 is still in the works, so, you know, before we get like a full-on Metroid Prime 4 reveal, this could be like a way to kind of satiate the fan base over the next, you know, almost 12 months until the next Summer Games Fest, I guess. Yeah. What do you think of, John? Do you think that this could ring true?
Yeah, it all makes sense. I think the Metroid Prime remaster has been one that, like, I'm not sure if it was just like pure speculation that's taken hold, or just an actual rumor, or leak, whatever. Is that Metroid Prime's remaster has been done for a while, but then they had to kind of reboot Metroid Prime's 4's development with Retro. So now it's just kind of been sitting there for a long time. But
and Retro is the developer of the original Metroid Prime trilogy.
Yeah, it's I know I'm kind of curious in a lot of, because I played Wind Waker HD on Wii U, which it originally released. I don't think I have much interest in it again because it's a kind of a long game actually.
And that's after the Wii, and that's after Nintendo went back and kind of streamlined a lot of the second half, the like kind of the back half of Wind Waker compared to the original release.
Yeah, the HD one's the better one. Like, it's got a lot of upgrades. But it's and Princess, I don't actually know a ton about Twilight Princess. I remember trying it out. Like, that's another game I rented from Video Easy, just to name drop them again.
Oh my god, the second week in a row.
I don't think it's second. I think it was a week before.
Oh, okay.
But it's like,
still,
yeah, it was recent. Yes.
Well,
but it's,
the one thing I guess is that was the one that was released simultaneously on the Wii. It was a Wii launch title and also came out on GameCube, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I think it was a launch title, or very soon after the Wii came out. And the main thing was that traditionally Link is left-handed, but in the Wii version, they literally flipped all the assets so that Link is right-handed because of the motion controls. They expect most players to be right-handed, so they wanted the motion controls to match the animations on screen. So, fun fact.
Yeah, like I knew that already, but it's like it's still funny.
Still funny that they did that.
Yeah, they only, I don't know, this is just me trying to like drop like whatever connections I have to these games. But it's like with Metroid Prime, like the only time I've played it is because I have like the digital version of the like Wii collection on either my Wii or my Wii U. It's on one of them, but it's like it's only controllable through the Wiimotes, you know, like through motion control. It hurt my wrist so bad.
Wow.
It's like it really it's like it doesn't control bad as that kind of game. It's like not a bad way to play it at all. But it's just like I remember that's like the only thing I really remember about it, because I can only play it for so long before my wrist start hurting.
Yeah, because I guess
I'm
like
actually pretty excited to replay it without that.
All the minute repetitive motions probably must have gotten tiring. Like I can see that being a problem. Who knows? Maybe it'll be exclusively for Joy-Cons, and you'll get to relive your memories of Metroid.
I guess the Joy-Cons are at least lighter. So.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. Do you have much connection to either of them?
Nope. I wish though. The one thing I mean I remember reading. I think the like borrowing it from the library, the edition of Hyper magazine that had the Wind Waker cover on it back in like 2003. I think it was 2003 that I saw it. It would have been I think like either or even earlier, maybe even like 2002. But yeah, definitely it's definitely one that I remember from like back then. But I never got to play it. I really wanted to play the HD version, but then who had a Wii U. So I'm really excited. Like
Me.
I've
I'm
never
the one who did.
finished. I've never finished a Zelda game. Like I've never.
Yeah, I don't think I have either.
I don't understand people who, and I don't understand people who can finish Zelda games without a guide. I always needed a guide because there's a lot of things that just weren't obvious or didn't make sense. They just kind of like I've restarted A Link to the Past multiple times, and the furthest I've ever gotten was the Ice Temple with the Zora Princess, and with Ocarina of Time, the furthest I got was the Water Temple with the Zora Princess. So I think there's a theme there. Like it's just like
Someone's your enemy.
like it's one of those things where it's like, oh, okay, yeah, you can get this like fire resistant shield or whatever. You just got to throw your shield at this one random location. You got to you got to know that you got to throw it into the water and then you get an upgraded shield. It's like, how the hell am I meant to know that? Like, where's that? You know what I mean? So I don't know. Maybe like Wind Waker on Switch might be a great way to kind of, maybe it'll be the first Zelda I'll actually finish, but I don't know. The Metroid Prime games always look cool, but the only one I think I've played like the first one and like, you know the kiosks they had at like Kmart or Harris Scarf or something back in the day, and then Metroid Prime, I think it was Hunters. Was it the one on DS? I remember there was one on DS.
That's right. Yeah, Hunters.
Where you kind of like you use the DS stylus as like your aim, and then you use the D-pad as like your kind of back, like your controls, which actually was a pretty good facsimile of like having a right analog stick for viewing until you had to access the buttons. Yeah, but yeah. What about you? Did you play? I guess you did say you kind of hurt yourself playing Metroid Prime Collection.
Yeah, that's my experience with Metroid Prime. Yeah, so just to kind of wrap up that part, Grubb said that he's heard from, quote, a pretty good source that the event will take place during the week beginning September 12th. I'm not sure if you said that.
I did, but it's good to repeat it.
Oh, you did?
Couple of weeks. So
I don't think I heard it.
not this coming Monday, but the following Monday. So that week, middle of September.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah,
why not?
so-
It's. Will that be before TGS? Or is TGS this week? I'm terrible with this
I think
stuff.
TGS is around that because there's
Yeah.
something that's happening on the 9th or something around TGS. So I don't know.
Yeah.
We really need to know this stuff.
Well, speaking of TGS.
Yeah. I was about to say, like, speaking of entries in beloved franchises or something.
that also works. That is also a good segue. Nice.
Yeah, doing my job. Konami has announced that they have they've teased that they have an unannounced title at TGS as part of their lineup. Is said to, quote, be an entry in a World Love series. So far, there's been rumors or like insiders have been kind of pointing to two series in particular with this line. The first is Silent Hill. From Video Game Chronicles Andy Robinson on Twitter, he said, quote, now heard from several people that a Silent Hill reveal may be sooner than I suggested in my story today. As well reporting on timings, I wouldn't take that as gospel, but fans possibly won't have to wait much longer.
Yeah.
Aforementioned Jeff Grubb also said that, quote, I've now heard from several people that a Silent Hill reveal may be sooner than I suggested in my story. That's the same words. Why have I got the same words?
Who knows?
Well, he basically said the same thing.
Yeah.
He said it's like
it's consistent.
It should be coming sooner rather than later. Yeah. The other game or series that was pointed to was Metal Gear Solid.
Mm-hmm.
This also comes from VGC and the insider Dusk Golem. He's an insider who hangs out on Twitter and on the gaming forum Reset Era. The quote from Dusk Golem specifically says, quote, the thing I've been a bit teasing of, that's just the wording. And I know is 100% true is Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and 3 are getting new remasters. Plans come to everything, including Steam and consoles. The plan is new remastered versions of Metal Gear Solid 1 to 3. You can buy them separately.
Great.
If you buy them together as a collection, you can also get Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2's, or Metal Gear 1 and 2's MSX versions,
Yeah.
like the old ones.
Oh,
And he said
man.
that he's had this confirmed to him more than once from
Okay.
more than one reliable source. So
What we need,
also,
what we really need is a re-release of Metal Gear Solid 4, because that hasn't left the PS3 ever. It hasn't been remastered. It
just
hasn't
see
been remade. Nothing.
yeah, but it's like
It's that bloody
Yeah,
cell
I know.
processor. They can't do it.
it feels like one of those games where it's like it's such a like I know it's beloved and like deservedly so, but it's also got like every time I think about it, I think about all the grievances people have with that game and how if people play it again, they're just gonna. I feel like all I'm gonna hear
They'll come
about is
back.
like, not in that it's bad, just in that it's like it's got a lot of, I don't know, modern like it doesn't really hold up as well. I think like so
Okay.
many long cutscenes, so many like
Oh, that definitely
sequences
was
of, like,
the pinnacle of
yeah.
cutscenes.
But it's I don't know. You're right though. It needs
Mm.
to that needs to come out again at some point.
Yeah,
Maybe it's just that difficult to do.
and because it's very difficult to emulate PS3 hardware because of the I joked about the cell architecture or whatever, but like the cell and I think it was called the RSX, like kind of graphics processor, like they're actually very hard to crack and kind of emulate well. So what people have been forced to do is kind of brute force the emulation, and that means that you need a pretty beefy system to run the game, like at like 1080 or so. But if you've got a capable enough system, like there's a Digital Foundry kind of video of him like running it at 4K, but it's like on like an i9 or something. So if you've got the horsepower and the money, I guess you can make it happen.
Yeah.
But I guess speaking about making things happen, it seems like we've got a teaser for the next iteration of Xbox Game Pass. So, for context, earlier this month, Microsoft officially announced that it was testing a new tier of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate in Ireland. It didn't say which island. I just said Ireland. Let me see. In Ireland and Colombia, that would allow you to, quote, add up to 4 people to the subscription, or with their own unique access to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate games, contents, and benefits, end quote. So it seems like it's like from what everyone speculated, it was like a family sharing version of it. And according to Video Games Chronicle, as spotted by a Twitter kind of known kind of data scraper by the name of Alumia _ Italia, apparently uncovered some logo art for something called Xbox Game Pass Friends and Family, which kind of is pretty consistent with what I think everyone was expecting. I'm sure it'll. I don't know why it's being tested out in Ireland and Colombia. Like, are they saying that those people have a lot of family? Like, they have there are more families in those countries than other places? I'm not sure.
Well, I think it's just like the way, like it's the reason that everyone, like all these companies usually like testing things in Australia, because we're like just this smallish market that I guess is kind of enough of a bubble to get a good reading on for other places.
Yeah, so, and it doesn't say which island it is, because it's the Republic of Ireland and then Northern Ireland, but I'm guessing that the Republic of Ireland is what everyone thinks about when they think of Ireland, so maybe that's what Microsoft means. But
I did not know there were 2 of them. I had no idea about that at all.
Not gonna lie, I didn't really realize that until like a couple of years ago. I was like,
Okay.
what? It's just like, oh yeah, they're Irish. They're from Ireland. And then, yeah.
Isn't Ireland like a geographic
So
place,
Ireland
though?
is an island, but it's split in half. I think, after all the kind of the civil unrest in the 80s and 90s. I think it got
Yeah,
split
yeah.
down. Kind of, I think Northern Ireland is part of the UK, whereas the Republic of Ireland is its own kind of sovereign nation. I don't know what to say. Anyway,
Yeah. So this is Beer teaches John about UK Ireland. Yeah,
oh.
no, good to
But
know
yeah,
that.
either way, it's a good thing. Yeah, I don't think there's any inherent negatives to this. It'll be interesting to see how it'll be priced compared to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, which is already like a pretty good deal if you kind of think about it. I think that's like $15 a month, like, which is I think in line with like the PlayStation Plus Premium tier, or like the highest tier, I think. In
I guess sort of like
Australia.
you could probably compare it to, because Switch has its, like Nintendo has their own version of like
Yeah.
a game family sharing sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I guess it, that might be a good comparison point as well. But
yeah, I guess that's gonna do it for the news. How about we move on to the general chit chat section of the show and take a very short break. So, John, you got a new Switch, a new Nintendo Switch.
yeah, it's not. I got one of the OLEDs because I got a good deal on it during the Afterpay sale, which I think hit a few places on the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, I don't know. It's like having played it, I like it, but it's also like maybe I shouldn't have got it because it's like like it really is like it's a Switch with high-end materials.
Yes.
It very much feels like that.
Yeah.
It's like it kind of spreads like so yeah, just kind of sum up based on my memories of it. It's got a better screen. It's got a bigger screen, which is like it's
Is
one
it
of those
actually
things where
bigger?
it seems kind of like it because the original Switch has like the giant bezels,
Oh,
so it like
okay.
fills out pretty much the entire space.
Yeah.
And it's a high quality OLED screen, so it's a kind of a better color presentation.
100% deeper
a
blacks
bunch
and
of other
brighter.
stuff. Yeah. It's got like stereo speakers in it instead of just mono, apparently, or like something. There's like the audio speakers have been
better.
improved,
Oh,
which
okay.
I only learned about like not long before I bought it.
Nice.
I think the actual Switch part, like that's not the Joy-Cons. I think it's like either using metal. I think it's metal rather than plastic, which is a small change, but it's like I keep noticing it where it's like, oh, why is it so cold compared to usual? But that's like, it's just kind of, and I think even the Joy-Cons, at least on my model, they seem to kind of snap into place much more
I think they
steadily
didn't change them. I think they didn't change the Joy-Con. I think it's just because you got a new Switch. I think because that was I
Okay.
think a complaint about Joy-Con drift and stuff. I think the plastic parts or whatever they're using, the actual Joy-Cons they didn't change, but they are white now, and that is.
Well, I thought it might have something to do with the model itself and how it clicks into place, because it really does seem much stiffer because it takes more work to get them off. But it might be that it's just new.
Yeah,
you might be totally right there. That's just something I noticed. And what else?
The Ethernet. You got an Ethernet port now.
Yeah, so I got an Ethernet splitter that arrived today actually. So I'm going to plug into the PS5 and the Switch. I bet I'll almost never use the Switch. It'll just be good for downloads. But
yes, because
the only reason I got it is because like I'm planning on getting Splatoon 3.
Yeah,
and there's like a solid chance that doesn't happen. Like I still want to play it, but it's like like every game I want to play. So but
so did you give your old Switch to your sister or something? Or did you trade it in?
The current idea is this other Switch will kind of live as a Ring Fit machine.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
that's
the plan now. Like, because
it's like a retired racehorse or something. It's just, it's just pulling tourists along the Melbourne streets. It's just you know.
We'll execute you for glue later.
Oh no! Don't say that. That poor Switch.
Yeah,
the Joy-Con drifted too much.
Otherwise, I haven't noticed a huge difference. It's just kind of about what you would expect, just kind of a higher quality Switch experience. With also mine's the OLED's got better battery life. That was a big draw for me because I've got one of the original ones.
I was gonna ask
battery life
because you have an OG Switch. I've got the refresh Switch from 2019. So I was like, yeah, curious because like I didn't know if you had the OG or if you moved from the 2019 to this. So yeah, like how have you found it so far, like battery wise?
Oh, I haven't played enough with it. All I've played so far is like a little bit of Super Mario 3D World, which I started up to check out the colors, which like just to check out the screen quality.
Yeah, I mean that's a
And
good game to
also
do that with.
and Fortnite, which I think is actually not a bad test case for it
Yeah,
because like a pretty
very vibrant.
intense. Yeah. Well, it's like I meant it more as in like a battery life though. It's
Oh
like
yeah,
it's kind
yeah.
of. So I think my original Switch lasts like maybe 90 to 120 minutes on Fortnite just playing it. I think it doesn't. I don't know. I
Okay.
never test battery life, but like very much because I tend to, you know, walk away often from my games. So
Mm.
I'm not a very good person to kind of like have a good sense of how long a battery would last. But it does seem to be quite a bit better because I played like what like half an hour of Fortnite before bed last night. Ended up having like 15% lower than what it
Okay, that's
started
pretty
with,
good.
which is like that's better than I remember.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm
Oh,
happy
fair
with that.
enough. Yeah, because the other thing is the wider kickstand. So the instead of being like a little plastic kickstand, I think it's like and then taking up just a little part of the back. It's actually the full length of the Switch
Yeah,
system
it's
itself,
like
which is great.
the one like the what I've seen it compared to is like the Windows Surface
Yeah, the Microsoft Surface
tablets.
ones. Yeah,
Yeah, but
definitely.
if you want more detail, go read Ben's review from some
Yes.
time ago when it launched.
Yeah.
Like he'll have it's a much more in-depth review of this than I'm gonna give it.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, it's still cool. I'm not sure if it's worth the price unless you're like really upgrading from like even I was upgrading from like an OG one,
Yeah.
that's got like more things to upgrade, and I'm still
Yeah.
not very
If
certain of it.
if
But
you've
like
got a
I think part of what
2019 one, probably not worth it.
yeah, probably not.
Yeah.
It depends on how much you play it because I probably don't quite play it enough. I think part of what I was getting motivated by was like I got as I mentioned couple months or so ago, I got like a new 3DS,
Yes.
like the kind of like to replace my old flat 2DS.
Yeah.
And like I kind of regret not getting one of those earlier because I'm like mine's clearly refurbished and it's got
Oh,
a
okay.
little few nicks here and there. It's like it's
Yeah.
fine. Like the biggest thing is that I'm pretty sure the top screen's been replaced at some point
Oh, okay.
because there's like a bit of a like it works fine. It's just kind of got this like nagging kind of like little visual artifact on the bottom
Oh,
of the
okay.
screen, and it's one of those things like, oh, I would have
Yeah,
loved to get
that's
a brand new
definitely
one.
not the that's definitely not the screen you want to be replaced, if anything.
No, I guess so.
Yeah.
The top one's fine. Like I think it's the
Yeah.
bottom one that I'd be
Oh,
more
okay.
worried about.
Yeah.
But it's like but
Yeah.
it's yeah. So kind of like part of my thinking was like, I might want an OLED later, and I might
Mm.
not be able to get one for that
Yeah.
isn't like sort of crummy by comparison.
That's true. That's true. I guess that's the thing. Like fresh battery and everything. I guess the main, like, just for context, when the Switch, so from the original Switch to the 2019 Switch, um, Nintendo shifted to a revised version of the kind of the I guess it's called an APU. So like the chip that powers it, and because it was a revised version, it could had better performance for the same wattage. So even games like Zelda and stuff would actually run more consistently at a 30 FPS rather than the mid 20s or whatever the fluctuations were on the OG Switch. And alongside that also meant less power requirements, so less battery drain. And I'd assume that would have carried over to this version as well. So no, man, that's good that you at least you've enjoyed it so far.
So far,
Yeah.
we'll see how I feel. It
Yeah.
really is nice to have it just replaced and less feel like more sure of it. I guess
Mm.
as like a hardware to own long term. But
Yeah.
yeah.
No,
So
fair enough.
speaking of Switch, I also played Splatoon 3's network test. That was on the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of like the Splatfest preview. I think it was called something like that. I was able to get a few games in. Networking seemed pretty. I didn't try to play very often. I was able to play a couple games. First game went well. Second game, I was kind of confused on how to improve because we just got completely crushed
Oh
by
wow.
team. And then the next time I tried to play a game, I just couldn't log in for some reason. So I think there were network issues, which
Yeah.
makes sense. And that was my entire experience of Splatoon 3.
Well,
There
there
wasn't
you
much
go.
to it. Yeah. I also
I'm so
started playing.
sorry. That sucks, man.
Oh no, it's fine. Like I was able to play it a little bit. Like that's more than I could have otherwise. Um, I started playing Rollerdrome, which I purchased at launch but hadn't tried yet. This is the game from Roll 7, the developers of Oli Oli, the Oli Oli series. That's kind of you're kind of roller skating, except you're trying to shoot people in between Tony Hawk style tricks.
Yeah,
That's basically it.
I forgot
It
that it
is
came
kind of
out.
reminded. It's really I really enjoy it, but it's also like I think it like a lot of score attack style games like this. I have a hard time not being at least competent at it, so I don't like. It's kind of tough, basically, and like because it's kind of tough, making like a bunch of errors in a level just feels like I'm just gonna keep playing until I do at least decently and finish it
Gotcha.
off okay. But it is kind of tough regardless. Like it's
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
so it's
Huh. I
I
thought it
do
was a
enjoy it
battle
though.
royale.
No,
Okay.
no, it's like a single player thing with sort of a um satire of current like modern day Britain in the background as you go between levels.
What?
It's kind of it's like kind of a post apocalypse sort of this not post dystopian
Yeah.
presentation. But it's that aspect
Gotcha.
of it I wasn't aware of.
It's a
Like the story
post-Brexit
elements.
world.
Sorry?
In a post-Brexit world.
Basically, that it probably is exactly true. I don't think about Brexit much.
Wow.
But it's yeah, so that's I enjoyed that. I need to come back to it because I played through the first like quarter of it ish, but it really does get quite difficult for someone who's not especially versed in Tony Hawk style games at all.
Yeah.
But it is really fun. And
Gotcha.
lastly, I watched Top Gun Maverick finally. You really liked it, Abia, from when you
Yeah.
mentioned it.
Yeah. I mean, I was fortunate enough to get to watch it in IMAX, so I think being in the crowd and just being really immersed in it with the sound and everything, I think it's a really well. It was like a really well shot and well edited, kind of well produced film. It was very. It was kind of like. It was yeah. It was a pre. It reminds you of a pre-Marvel summer blockbuster, but I guess winter, whenever it came out for us. What do you think?
Right. I didn't love it. Like
Oh no.
it wasn't bad, but it's I don't know, I think like everything I heard like pre-release, like just kind of claim. I mean, not that they're wrong, but like a lot of the praise for it, like really built it up high in my mind. And then I was like, yeah, I said before to you very confusingly before we started that it's very much a Top Gun movie, and
Yeah.
by that I mean I'm surprised at how linked to the original it feels.
Oh,
A lot of
100%.
like a lot of music, a lot of shared elements,
A lot of
more
same
than feels
shots.
necessary.
Yeah.
Like it feels very much like a second half to Top Gun, the first one, in
Oh,
some
yeah.
ways,
And I think
than a sequel in its like it is a sequel, but
and
it's like
it's all
it's
right.
like yeah.
I watched the original Top Gun the day before. I watched this. All of that was super fresh in my mind, and 100%. Even like the way the credits open, a lot of the shots, the kind of the some of the color palettes and everything. There is a lot of shared Top Gun, and it definitely talks about like there's like there's yeah I think if
But
you
it's
watch
so
this, yeah,
corny though. Like that's
it
something
is.
I
It
couldn't
is
get
very.
over a little bit.
It is
It's
so
like
sincere.
yeah, but like I don't know. I enjoy aspects of it a lot. I was surprised to kind of get into spoiler territory, I guess, a little bit. I was surprised by the third act happening, because they
Yeah.
have all the jet fighters, and then the last act is like them trapped in enemy territory for a second. And I was like,
Okay.
oh, this part of the movie is surprising.
I was not expecting that part. I just thought it would end with, oh, Maverick's dead. This is the end. This is the redemption, whatever part. And then there's like another like 20 minutes or so, like another act, sort of like I don't know how to put it, like an epilogue, or is it just like that's the third act?
I
The
think
fourth
I guess
act?
it's the climax, maybe
Yeah.
technically. I'm not sure, but it's or like the resolution
Yeah.
mostly. Yeah, I don't know, somewhere
Yeah.
around there in terms of story acts. But it's Yeah, I don't know. Otherwise, I don't know. I built it up much more higher in my head than I probably should have.
Yeah,
Even though I wasn't a huge fan of the first movie in the first place,
yeah,
I just got the impression I would like it more than I did, which is
yeah,
it's fine. I
yeah.
just wasn't blown away by it. But it's
That's
yeah,
all right.
otherwise,
You're allowed to feel that way. I'll give you permission.
yeah. Oh, good. I needed that.
Uh,
Um,
uh,
otherwise, yeah, not a huge week for me. Not a huge amount to talk about. But
yeah.
what about you, Avia?
Well, I guess I can say that I've been playing a lot of, well, not a lot, but I've been playing Guilty Gear Strive. I think after watching Evo, just kind of getting back into the whole kind of fighting game scene, and like I love fighting games. I'm not very good at them, but I love them, and like Guilty Gear Strive is just a lot of fun, and it's like I think they've, as far as I can tell, apparently they've refined a lot of the gameplay systems in Strive, so that it is a bit more friendly to newer players to the series. It's still ridiculous, and it is still like sort of like an anime. It's like kind of like a bridge between like a Street Fighter and and games like Grand Blue or DNF Duel or something, which are referred to as like anime fighters, where it's like you can pretty much kind of like you can follow along with a game like Tekken and Street Fighter. It still looks pretty kind of how should I put it, like you can follow the action much more easily in those games. But then when you get to a game like Blaze Blue or Grand Blue or something, like then shit just becomes crazy. There's stuff popping off all over the screen. You have no idea what all these animations and things are happening. So like Guilty Gear Strive kind of like sits in between the two. And like for example, I love the fact that like when you there's a like a very big emphasis on countering and stopping combos from like kind of just going on forever. Like you can at any point press a couple of buttons and kind of interrupt the combo. And that's like a really good system. It's called the burst system. It's really cool. It means that even newbies get a chance to kind of take on people who would otherwise in other games just continuously just juggle you in the air, and then you can't really do anything. But it's like if someone releases if someone unleashes an attack and you attack at the same time, sometimes you get something called like a counter hit, which kind of interrupts that person. You kind of catch them off guard, and it gives you the chance to kind of get them back. But like when you do that, like there's a whole big like the word counter flashes on the screen, and the announcer's like counter, and it's just like I love that. Like it's just cool. Like there's enough of the dopamine hit that it's fun without the kind of like overwhelming kind of stimuli of like other like fighting games in that kind of anime style. It's got a very rock and roll theme. Like the soundtrack's really cool. Like before you start off a round, like literally instead of saying fight, it's like let's rock. And like one of the characters, she's a witch with a guitar. One of the other characters, like the character I play, is like she's a Portuguese. She's a Brazilian-born Secret Service agent who protects the president, but she has a pet dog that is kind of like her familiar, and like she like as your meter builds up, she just like goes and does extra damage. She goes into like this extra state. There's an African cyborg ninja with a sword that demands blood sacrifice in order to like stop him from dying, basically. There's
it's like a vampire with extra steps.
pretty much, right? And then there's like there's a girl called May who is kind of like the meme, kind of like the main meme everyone would have seen when the game came out. Basically, she's part of the Jellyfish Pirates. So it's a group of pirates who fly around in giant airships that look like what we'd expect to see, what pirate ships look like. But there's like she fights with a giant anchor, and she has a pet dolphin that she can summon and like attack with. It's just like ridiculous things like that I just love about it. It's like, and everyone's kind of got their advantages.
On her when I played, because I played Xrd a bit.
Yeah,
and like she's one of those characters I couldn't really get a hang of much at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah, so like I've been playing as Giovanna because I was like, oh, she's the new character in this game. She's kind of like she's what's called the rushdown character, where like she's the character that really does well getting in your face. Um, like she doesn't really, she doesn't really have too many kind of like super high end kind of like kind of really big moves that some of the other higher like characters have, but she's like a great way to kind of get in, like a great character that's a bit beginner friendly. But I think it's just the idea of like a Secret Service agent with a fighting wolf, like or like dog familiar, is cool. Yeah, it's the main character's name is Soul Bad Guy, which I think is like a fucking awesome name for a character. Like it's a really fun game, and like a few weeks ago when I had my friends over, like I had a couple of mates over, and we just played Guilty Gear Strive like for hours. Like it was just, and because all of us were kind of like new, like we all had fun because we all just were at similar skill level, and we were actually learning and kind of getting better as we played. It was just a lot of fun. And I went into the online, and the online is like I think the net code, it uses that rollback net code that we talked about last week or the week before, like kind of the best type of net code when it comes to fighting games. And yeah, I can say that the quality of the connection is really good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I was going to ask about online actually, because
Yeah.
apparently everyone's playing Bridget right now.
Oh yeah, that's of like, yeah, I think of the two people I was like playing on like, I think like a Friday afternoon, like a Sunday afternoon maybe or something, and it was like there weren't that many people playing. But yeah, the two people I would get paired up with were both Bridget characters. One was like a high level person who was just like, it was just fun getting my ass kicked, and then one was much more lower that like I was a bit more closer to, but it was still funny. Like her thing is like her character's like got a yo-yo that kind of like unleashes light attacks, and then she's got like a pet teddy bear that also explodes and stuff. So yeah, it's very interesting game.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a lot of fun. So, and I'd definitely wholeheartedly recommend anyone at home who is kind of looking for like a fighting game, and maybe Tekken or Street Fighter is a bit too kind of mainstream, and something like Grand Blue Fantasy is a bit too crazy, and you're not really a fan of like a platform fighter.
Yeah, I think it sounds like a good option in the sense that, as I understand it, Tekken has bad netcode, and also no one's playing Grand Blue right now.
Yeah.
So it's like,
so this is like a good medium.
Yeah, it's like it's got a healthy player base, and it's being supported currently.
Yeah.
And it's got rollback. So yeah.
But it's got a weird lobby system. Like you basically create an 8-bit version. Like you basically create an avatar in the style of the sword and sorcery game. Like that weird elongated 8-bit, fake 8-bit kind of art style. And then you kind of like walk around lobby. Like you literally walk around levels of a building, and that's how you can match against players. Thankfully, there's also like a quick match option, because I'd be so annoyed if I had to like literally walk over to a character, like an avatar, and wait for them to finish their match, just so that I can tap them on the shoulder and be like, "Hey, do you want to fight?"
Yeah, that's not fun.
But yeah, the last thing I want to talk about is that I watched so there's a new Gundam anime that's coming out soon. It's called Mobile Suit Gundam: The Witch from Mercury. And basically what Sunrise, the production company behind Gundam, released a prologue episode for free on its YouTube channel. If you search Gundam info, you'll actually find that you'll actually find that YouTube channel. And the good thing about that YouTube channel is what it does is Sunrise actually kind of does like this rotating Disney Vault style thing where it makes an older, or like makes like an entire series of Gundam free to watch on its channel without ads. I mean, like as in without its own ads. I think there's obviously the YouTube ads if you're not a premium subscriber, but it's cool because then I think so like it'll rotate between like older series, and sometimes it'll play series that you can't actually watch on Netflix or like Crunchyroll anymore. So it's kind of cool that way. But yeah, there's the prologue episode went up, I think maybe yesterday or earlier today as of this recording. I watched it today. It's really it's like definitely got me hooked. It kind of sets up kind of the conflict that you kind of walk into. So um, it's like a prequel. It's set a number of years before the actual anime series, where the main character of the anime series is still a child, and this kind of sets up what happened to her family and put her down the path of, I guess, like whatever the typical kind of new type pilot story where a new type in the Gundam lore is basically a type of evolved human that can adapt to living in space, that generally has like kind of superhuman kind of ability to pilot like a Gundam, which in this
Oh wait, what?
yeah, it legit it's called
human.
a new type. Yeah, it's
Oh, no, the part where it's like you need to be a certain type of person to
like
wield a robot.
yeah, basically the new types are like able to pilot Gundams to a level that other people can't. Like they just have
Oh,
that kind of superhuman kind of connection to their mechs, and yeah, and this one kind of kind of alludes to that very early on, so it's kind of cool.
mm.
Yeah, it's definitely. I'm definitely going to be watching it whenever that launches. I'm trying to see if it comes out October. Okay, it's due every Sunday from October. Um, okay, cool. So I
How
guess
you
you'd be
compare? Oh,
Mm.
how are you comparing it to the other series you've seen so far?
So I loved Iron Blooded Orphans, which was the okay. Mm. So sorry. So over like the most two recent Gundam series was Mobile Suit Gundam Reconquista in G, which was one that was made by the original creator of Gundam. It was kind of like a very massive letdown. A lot of people didn't really like it. I think some of the mech designs and stuff were cool in it. The story's very silly. They basically the central plot to that is that there are two types of humans, and one type of human is basically considered like cattle, but they look and act like everyone else, but somehow they're a lower breed of human. Um, so therefore, there's like obviously some internal conflict there within the powers that may be. That came out in like 2014, and then in 2015 there was Mobile Suit Gundam Iron Blooded Orphans, which is talking about how like basically a group of orphaned kids on Mars who are literally referred to as human trash. Basically, they're working for this like kind of corrupt mine operator, and then the government on Earth comes to invade Mars, and then these kids are basically caught in the crossfire. One of the kids steals like a prototype or like a really old Gundam, comes to life, kind of fights off the invaders, and then like those kids get together, form like their own kind of mercenary group, and they kind of fighting for survival and for peace. And like the first season was really good. The second season kind of fell down. I think there's like there's literally one of the characters' motivations is to have the child of the main character. Like that's literally her entire motivation in the second season is that. It's like it's like really problematic. So
Yeah.
the good thing about this one is that this is the first ever Gundam series that has a female protagonist. And like even in like the prologue episode, like kind of the science organization that are developing these new Gundams is predominantly run by women. Obviously, from what I've seen, the actual political leaders and the rival faction are run by men. So that's the premise of this is that in this alternate timeline, Gundams exist. However, using the Gundams causes like physical like suffering. Like it causes like infection to the person. Like whether it's like some sort of poisoning from the electronics or something like that. And they're trying to, and then this group is desperately trying to find a cure for that and things like that. And then, yeah, that's about all I'm gonna give away here. But it's a really cool kind of different take on the premise, and it has a lot of the kind of the essential Gundam kind of things of like really cool mechs, a conflict between like a group on the run and like a more kind of well funded, like kind of more sinister group, you know. kind of kids being thrown into a situation where they have to adapt very quickly and kind of fight battles and stuff. So it's got a lot of the tropes of Gundam, but it's beautiful animation style. The mech designs are really cool. I'm legit want to order the kind of the hero mech, the hero design as like a gunpla, the plastic kind of model kits. So this is definitely something that I'm going to be watching come next month.
Okay.
That and Spy X Family, because apparently that's coming back next month as well. The second half of the season.
This is gonna sound like a weird question. It's like I was thinking, like I thought of it this week again about how much I really love a certain Zoids series.
Yeah.
There's a few of them, and there's a certain one I watched as a kid that
Chaotic
actually holds up
Century or
really well.
which one?
Zero Century.
Zero Century. That was the one that's like kind of set in the pre. It's kind of set in the before times, like the golden era or whatever, right?
Oh no, like set later, isn't it? Because it's like
it?
when all the wars finished.
Oh, okay. Because there was one with
Um,
Zeke. Was that Chaotic Century?
Oh, maybe.
Remember there was a dinosaur? The dinosaur Zoid
Because it's the one with the white
girl.
Liger one.
Oh.
Anyway.
Okay.
Because
I love
Zoids.
Zoids. Yeah.
I was gonna ask if there are any like sports drama sort of competitive themed Gundam at all, because like I actually really like that aspect of Zoids.
You would
Not that
probably
easy.
enjoy, I think, Gundam SD Bat. I think Gundam Build Fighters. It's basically like it's set in a world where there's like virtual reality fights using kind of like Gundam play kits. So, but like it gets super competitive and it's like kind of the sports. So whereas like if you think of like regular Gundam being like kind of the fate of space colonies and like this civil wars and like big political intrigue, I think it's Build Masters or Build Fighters. Though that series is more kind of that sportsman kind of like rivalries and things like that. But there is always a rivalry between the like kind of the main pilot of the like the hero, the protagonist, and the kind of ruthless military, like kind of very royal kind of, like there's always that blonde-haired bad guy who's like super handsome and just like a super talented mech pilot, and then now they're coming across this new upstart who's got the there's always a bit of that as well.
Okay, maybe.
Yeah.
I was thinking. Well, it's like if in case you have seen it, the Zoid season I'm talking about is the one where it has like the white Liger and he has like different like versions that he attaches to himself, like the green and blue one and the orange one. I don't know, like outfits basically. They give him different abilities.
Liger Zero. I'm trying to think. Because like I loved the Zoid series when I was a kid, but obviously because of the way things were, like I think they didn't show all the episodes properly, and
because like Zero Century doesn't have any like high quality versions at all.
Yeah,
I bet that's true of a lot of them actually. Like there's no way to watch it.
Yeah, so I think I'm just trying to think because it was Chaotic Century, New Century, and Zero Century. But yeah. So
yeah, then there was Fusors, which I
what was
remember
that?
watching as a kid.
What is that? Is that a spin-off?
It was technically, I think it was a follow-up to Zero, like the one I like, Zero Century.
Gotcha.
But it was like kind of this weird. And I remember reading into it where it's like it was done really cheaply on the production side, so a lot of it just falls apart. In terms of, anyway, it doesn't matter. I was just thinking about that, and it's like, oh, I wonder if Gundam has something that can scratch this Zoid's itch.
Gotcha. Yeah. Because, I think the ones that I had seen was Chaotic Century and New Century, because they would have been airing when I was, like, of the right age for it. Like, when it was on Cheese TV, Toasted TV in the morning. The Zoid Zero Century definitely came after.
Yeah, because I remember watching a little bit of the war one, because I think it was at some point where that specific show, like those seasons, were airing at like the worst time to keep up with. But I remember not really taking to I don't know. I was too attached to the one I like. I don't think I like the war time as much.
I just what is it? Zoid's Zero Century? No, so Zoid's New Century is the one.
Oh, New Century.
So there are only two types. So Zoid's Chaotic Century is the one that aired when I was watching it, and then I think Zoid's New Century, the one you're talking about, started after. That was after.
New Century.
It was produced. So I think Zoid's Chaotic Century was the first series in Japan, and New Century was the second one made in Japan, but then the first series to be dubbed um in the West was New Century, which is weird. So that's why I remember bits and pieces of both, because I remember like in New Century, like, was there a red Liger? Was there originally like I feel
Yeah,
like
there
there
was.
yeah, because I remember that like the main character had the red jacket, like he was part of like some mercenary group or something, and I remember like them attacking military bases and stuff. Whereas the Chaotic Century is the one where the main character Van discovers Zeke, which is like an ancient dinosaur Zoid who has the ability to kind of, when he goes into any other basically he finds like a derelict old Liger that's been abandoned, and then when Zeke goes into that Liger, it transforms into like a renewed blue Liger. And then there's this moon girl who has a connection to the Zoid somehow. Maybe she's a Zoid human hybrid, which I don't even want to think about. And I remember there was a sad episode because there was like a dinosaur Zoid in like an ancient temple, and its human went away on a mission and promised to come back, but the human owner died, and that dinosaur Zoid has forever stayed on patrol and every day waits for his owner to come back. Like that was like really sad. Like as a kid, I remember that being very like kind of
Wait, that's just that Japanese tale. Like that one about the
maybe
Shiba Inu, like
probably
waiting for his master.
yeah. I think that, but as a Zoid,
Yeah.
as a dinosaur Zoid.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, I think I didn't even know what a Shiba Inu was back then, but I did know what a Liger was.
You got the right lesson.
Dude,
anyway.
Zoids are cool, and they had like it was like one of the first anime I saw that had kind of like it was like 3D models mixed with anime kind of background. So
Yeah,
it was
like, at
so
least-
cool
Yeah, like it's done well, for
Yeah.
that time period especially. But it's like
for any time
since
period.
we've got time and I might as well get into it. It's like I really like New Century. I'm sure I've seen it set as Zero Century.
That might
but
be
I
the
think it's just
Japanese
like-
name, to be fair.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, because I
But it's
watched it
like,
in English.
Yeah, but it's like the one I like, because I've seen it a couple of times since I was a kid. Because I got like I think I like ripped video files from one of those anime sites, because you can't watch it elsewhere. Like there's
Yeah,
literally nowhere else.
Yeah.
And they're all low quality, but it's
Ah,
yeah,
yes.
something
I'll tell you
been
why.
really-
Zoid's New Century, I think, is English, and then Zoid's New Century /0 was kind of like the Japanese translation.
okay. 'Cause
Apparently.
it's got a good
It was
shot too.
rebranded
Yeah,
as Zoid's New Century for English.
right. That makes sense.
Yeah. Because
But
the
it's,
Liger Zero was the name of the mech, like the hero mech.
Yeah.
Sorry,
yeah.
please.
What I wanted to say though is like the part I've rewatched a few times is like the last like 6-7 episodes is like a tournament arc. Like it's
Huh.
really self-contained, and it's like there's no way I'm ever gonna do it, but I keep getting in my head. It's like, man, I actually wouldn't mind trying to edit that into like a full movie because it would really work as one. Like it's
I can
really
imagine
good. Like it's like that like last stretch, like that last arc of the anime is like really strong, and it's like it's such a good, I don't know, it's defined a lot of my taste in that kind of genre. I think like in sort of sports drama-y anime sort of stuff, like those kind of stories, because it does it quite well. But it's anyway, that's I just wanted to ask if there was anything a little like that with
Yes, New
Gundam.
Century. Yes, the blue
Or is-
Liger. Oh my god. I remember the opening and everything. Is that the one where it goes Zoids, Zoids?
know.
I don't know if that was you.
Organized under
But it's
strict
like,
rules and
um,
regulations.
can you hear
Zoid
that?
Battles are fighting competitions held on
okay.
enormous battlefields.
Yes. Zoids are competitions held on enormous battlefields. Yes, that was
Yeah, I remember
That's
that.
because Chaotic Century I think is when the war's happening, and then New Century's like set after that.
Yeah, like that's
yeah.
basically what I was asking. It's like, oh, does
Yeah.
Gundam have like a post-war competitive scene?
Oh
Like, I
yeah,
like that.
oh yeah, actually, maybe because like there are so many different Gundam series that like I maybe there is, but I do know the Build Fighter series is the one that I'm specifically thinking about.
Yeah, sure.
Build
yeah.
Fighters, yeah. If you like that kind of like that rivalry, yeah. Gundam Build Fighters, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think the
That's,
name of the I'll yeah, and it's only one season, so you might even maybe try it. maybe
Are
watch
many of the
something one
Gundam series like long? Or are they usually
Most of
just a
them are
season?
like, well, well, like the original kind of Gundam arc, which just ended like last year, started in 1979. Well, it was like Gundam, Mobile Suit Gundam, then Mobile Suit Zeta Gundam, Mobile Suit Double Z Gundam, and then there was like Mobile Suit Char's Counterattack, which was like kind of like OVA, and then last year was like Mobile Suit Gundam. I forget what it's called, but it was like kind of like the setup of that original arc. But then all the other kind of Gundams are like their own arcs, like Gundam 10A Gundam, Gundam Unicorn, Gundam W, which I think is separate to Gundam Wing. Gundam Wing was probably the big one that everyone knew in the 90s, because that's like, if the original Gundam was like 1979 early 80s, then the next wave of Gundam fans was like kind of Gundam Wing in the 90s, and then 2000s might have been like Gundam Seed, and then like 2010s would have been like, Gundam Zero and onwards. So there's definitely like quite a few different ones, and so I the first one, Gundam, the Mobile Suit Gundam from 1979, is sort of like Godzilla in terms of it's like a commentary on war and its effects on civilian. It deals with things like PTSD, the loss, like it's yeah. There's a lot of kind of things there. That the thing about Gundam is that a lot of the themes in Gundam have been echoed in other series or been emulated in other series. So you might see like a few things you might notice there. Same way like JoJo, like you might notice a lot of tropes from JoJo are like in other things as well.
This just reminded
yeah.
me as well that I really wanted to dig into Sentai stuff, like all the
Yeah.
Power Rangers. Because like I watched like an episode somewhere, like I saw recommended to me of like an old, one of the old shows. Because it's like the same thing where it's like all these individual series that don't connect to one another.
Yeah.
Um, which is why what it reminded me of. And I was like thinking of like I watched like an old episode of what show is this? Super Sentai Jetman. Or
Okay.
Chosen Sentai Jetman. Okay, I don't know quite how old it is, but I think it's the 90s. But I watched
Gotcha.
one that someone recommended as like it was like their way into the season, and
Huh.
it's just like it's so different compared to Power Rangers. It's like and it's very, I really like it reminded me of like when I tried watching Kamen Rider for like a week, and then I completely forgot about it.
What?
It's like
Kamen
also
Rider?
awesome.
What's that?
It's also Sentai. It's
Oh,
like
okay.
like
Gotcha.
it's like a bug themed sort of
Earth
one.
Defense Force type
I'm
thing.
not actually sure how else to describe it.
Well, that's
No,
the
it's like
thing.
he's not fighting, and like he's like the actual suit is bug themed.
Oh, okay.
Like it's kind of like got its own thing to it.
Well, I guess for people at home who may not be familiar, the Sentai / Super Sentai series is what the Power Ranger series in the West is kind of based on. Essentially, what they did was they took the kind of mech scenes and some of the fight scenes from the Sentai, the original Sentai TV show in Japan. And what they did was they interspersed them with new live action footage that they filmed specifically that showed like kind of the American high schoolers and like kind of their like personal lives and stuff. And then when it came to the action, like it would be cut with like footage. That's why you'd always see like weird footage of them like kind of flipping through the air out of nowhere. It's just like it's like a transition to the like the Japanese footage.
Yeah.
It's
amazing how
yeah.
well it holds up. Like just
Yeah.
watching it, like because there's one, oh, I don't remember what it's called. I feel like it's just because the words in my head, but I think like one's called Kamen Rider Zero. That's like a short film that's like 30 minutes or so. That one's really amazing. But like I don't know, a lot of it holds up better than you'd think, like better
Yeah.
than I would think, considering my because I was aware that it was meant to be good. It has its own Western fans that
So
are
Kamen Rider
Sentai.
Zero is new. Like it's
okay. It must be called something else then.
okay.
But it's I'll look it up just so might as well. I've got it listed in my
I got
film journal list thing.
Kamen Rider Episode 1. Okay, this is from the
Kamen Rider
70s.
ZO. That's what it's called.
Kamen Rider ZO.
That one's really, really good. But it's
Oh my god, these are
Anyway.
actually available to watch by Toei. The rights holder actually released this. Huh.
yeah, a lot of it's available for free because it's like with Sentai, like the old shows that you
Yeah.
can watch them for free on shoutfactorytv.com. But you need a US VPN to watch
Oh,
them.
okay, yeah. But some of these are on YouTube. I can see now.
Yeah, a lot of them.
That's
do
so
as well.
cool. Oh my god,
I was
this
like,
is
I was
so
surprised, like,
cool.
because the one episode I watched, which I really did come back to it because I enjoyed it a lot. But it's like, one episode I watched, it's like they're all like adults with
Yeah.
like adult lives, but it's
Yeah.
not like too dark or anything. It's just
Yeah.
kind of relatively mature, and all the ingredients, like it's like a local Japanese production where you
Yeah.
can kind of see the seams of it all.
Yeah.
But it's like it's so endearing and it works so well.
Yeah.
Anyway, like it's not. I don't know. It's such an
100%.
odd.
That's so cool.
I don't think It's funny. It's like I'm not. I feel like I'm describing something that's like not novel to anyone else necessarily, because it's like it's so old and it would be so well known to certain people.
Yeah.
But it's I don't know.
Well, 'cause
Anyway, talking about Gundam reminded me of
Because
it.
I think the Sentai. I could be wrong in this, but I believe the Sentai kind of live action kind of movement was inspired by the Ultraman kind of manga as
Oh, yeah.
TV show from the 60s. So it kind of makes sense, like if that was like the anime kind of thing about, a man who's got like a superpowered mech suit and stuff, then yeah, that I imagine that being that informing the Sentai, like just taking that forward.
That reminds me of like Hideki Anno's like Shin Ultraman is. I need to figure out how to watch that.
Is that the
I'm not
one
sure
that
if
was on Netflix? Was that not the Netflix reboot, or is that different?
No, that's another thing. This is like a follow up to Shin Godzilla from a
Gotcha.
few years ago. Yeah.
Gotcha.
I
Hey.
gotta stop mentioning things.
Clearly, we know so much. Therefore, we should spread it everywhere. But
I feel like knowledge is like a generous way to describe what we're saying.
That's true. That's true. Well, how about we close it off? Close off this part of the show. As always, Double Jump Radio and Doublejump.co itself is made possible thanks to the support of our wonderful members and patrons on Patreon and through the site directly. You too can support Double Jump Radio and Double Jump as a whole by going to doublejump.co/memberships or patreon.com/doublejump and signing up today. John, it's been any time we get to talk about Japanese, every time we get to talk about anime, especially old anime, is always fun. Any excuse.
It's a loud, rambly mess. It's fun.
It also gives me an excuse to find the most stupid looking thumbnail for the show art.
Oh, good.
I'm gonna,
Your excuse to get some Power Ranger.
some
thing.
Power Rangers or Zoids or whatever it is that we're gonna remember from this
I think
episode.
Power Ranger will be the most misleading.
Yes.
thumbnail you get.
Yeah. To anyone who didn't listen to the end.
Yeah.
We're like, what does this have to do with Tencent buying more shares in From Software?
I'm sure it'll make sense eventually.
That's true. That's true. Well, that's going to do it for another episode of Double Jump Radio. Thank you to everyone who's listened or watched this week's episode. As always, go to doublejump.co to watch, listen, and read all of our awesome content. And feel free to like us and share us around on social media. And until next time, everyone at home, please have a wonderful week and look out for one another. Peace.
The
I love it. But yes, definitely. Go watch the prologue episode. It's out now.